set?
Yep.
Okay. Please take notice that a public hearing will be held by the Town of Preble Town Board on Monday, October 13th, 2025 at 6:45 p.m. at the Preble Town Hall, Preble Road, Preble, New York, to consider local law number 3 of 2025 regulating wind energy conversion systems. Any resident of the town of Preble is entitled to be heard upon said local law in such public hearing. Copies of the said proposed local law are available for review at the town clerk's office. Dated September 30th, 2025. So, anybody have any comments or questions about the local law?
Jim,
John?
can
Yes.
I make an initial?
Yes.
Just to cover the local law again in summary form. This basically has like 3 parts, and remembering that this proposed local law was a result of work done by our planning board, and it's their recommendation to the town board as to regulating wind energy conversion systems. The bulk of this law, of course, deals with regulations for small wind energy conversion systems. That's section 1. It prohibits those systems within R1 and R1L zones. It allows those systems in 3 other zoning districts: the ag, the commercial, and the industrial. And really, there's 4 or 5 pages worth, 5 or 6 pages worth of regulations regarding those types of proposed uses. Section 2 deals with, it basically sets forth a prohibition of wind energy conversion systems that do not classify as a small wind energy system. The small wind energy system, which is section 1, is the type of system where it's designed primarily to reduce the consumption of electricity on site. So section 2 deals with large wind energy conversion systems, and it deals with large wind energy conversion systems where the primary purpose would be to sell electricity, and it prohibits those throughout the town, and it has an upper limit of 25 megawatts. That 25 megawatt, as I understand, is the cutoff where if a project is designed to produce more than 25 megawatts, that's the type of project that local municipalities might be able to give input, but they do not control the permitting process. That's a process that's governed really by the state of New York. So this proposed law has regulations for small systems, has a prohibition, if you will, for the systems that are larger than the small wind energy and underneath the 25 megawatts. And it is effectively neutral with regard to those large systems that are 25 megawatts or more. I think inherent in that is a recognition that we have little say. We can give input, but we have little say in the permitting process.
Okay, thank you, Don. Does anybody have any questions or comments on that summary? Yes, Corinne?
So my name is Corinne Hoos. I like this policy. I think it's very necessary to have the small wind policy. But I also think it's important that we do a large wind policy. And like you said, you get input. The only input you're going to have, though, is by having a policy in place that puts up the roadblocks that then ORAs can say they're burdensome, but at least they're going to acknowledge that they're there. They can't go through and claim in the whole state that every law that every municipality has is burdensome and ignore it like they've been doing. But that's a whole nother fight we got to take on. But there's also And talking to one of the people that was key in doing it in Lafayette, it's the things that we put in that large policy that, whereas typically doesn't dismiss, but it's gonna cause more time and money for the developer. Like, for instance, Lafayette has that if you cut down one tree, you have to plant two. As I was trying to go through the Lafayette policy to get more things to look, I noticed that the one that they have online is not the most recent one. So I will get that to you guys so you can look at it. But I think this is a great start. I like that we say they're not allowed, and we all know that New York State doesn't listen to us. But maybe that last paragraph, not the last paragraph, section B, how it says the section shall not apply, maybe we can kind of reword that. So that it doesn't look like we're rolling over. So we're saying it doesn't apply, but maybe we could say that, I don't know what the wording, but maybe just tweak that a little bit. But that's my thought on this one. Thank you.
Okay.
You
Thanks,
did a
Bernie.
great job, and that's the planning.
Mhm. Peter?
Peter McClure, I'm on the Preble Planning Board. And just a little history on where we came up with this draft to recommend to the town board. We looked at several wind energy conversion system laws, local laws, Tyler, Homer, a few other town sites. When we identified Lafayette, we kind of liked that. They had regulations and standards very similar to the one we have for small systems right here in this draft. But they also had a very extensive 20 pages of regulations and standards for anything smaller than 25 megawatts. So that's the first draft of this law that the planning board considered. And then planning board members came up and said, well, we're not so, various planning board members, we're not so sure we want these in the town. So I said, well, do you want to prohibit? And this middle size, this gap, the large systems that were not apparently regulated by the state, anything lower than 25 megawatts. Discussion was held. Planning board said, why don't we just prohibit them? That's what this says right now, this local law draft. And in some ways, we threw up our hands and said, we can't stop the state from doing this. We can give our opinions because the process, I've read the citing process, I've read the proposed regulations and standards is voluminous, I'll tell you. And they call for engagement of local municipalities early on in the citing application part. What's in this law says anything lower than 25 megawatts that's for commercial purposes, we're going to prohibit. And it says greater than 25 megawatts, we can't do anything, so this doesn't apply. It's up to the town board, really, and Corinne is basically suggesting that you expand it to everything. I don't know whether I agree with that, but it could be done by the town board, that one part of the law.
Or expand it, or
And
just
so-
another standalone.
That's my comment.
Thanks, Peter. Jeff?
Yeah, Jeff Merrill. I'm wondering though, Peter, I guess I should address you. I'm wondering, regarding what Peter's saying, what happens in 3 or 4 years if FORS disappears? You know, if there's a new government in New York State and they say, we're not going to have this FORS group anymore telling local municipalities what to do, then we're not going to have a law in place at that time that says they're prohibited or whatever it is you want to say. So I don't think, it seems like we should have some foresight in this and not just respond to what's happening today.
Okay. Anybody else? Tom?
Tom Abrams, I've got, a letter with some comments that, from the Song Lake Property Owners Association. I don't know how you wanna handle that. You want me to just give it to you and
You can read it.
You can read it if you want.
to.
it's kind of like, I'll go through it real quick.
Or you can summarize it.
I'll summarize it.
Tom, can you speak up a little so we all can hear?
So, on a, in general, the association very much supports the local law and appreciates the efforts the planning board did put into that. So some, on the small systems include a minimum acreage size for siting, ensuring that possible system of up to 3 turbines is not clustered on a relatively small agricultural lot. Require visual impact assessment. This is again for the small system. And discourage the use of lattice towers and guide wires, as they've been shown to provide both nesting locations and raptor perch sites, which may increase the potential impact to birds. So a monopole would be preferred. And on the large wind system, agree with the ban on the large sub 25 megawatt systems. And we have a list of 4 recommendations that, as far as the if you were to be approached by an applicant, some negotiation items. So identify specific sensitive receptors should be identified and not left up to the applicant as part of the visual impact assessment, as well as noise monitoring and analysis. Negotiate, the town should be aggressively negotiating a host community agreement with the developer, and this might include a pilot program. And given the current situation, as far as we know, nothing's going up in Preble, but they are proposed for Tully, and it's pretty darn close to the Preble line, so we'd encourage the town board to reach out to get involved with this current situation, because there will be some impacts to Preble residents from it. So
Okay,
that's pretty much it in a
Okay.
nutshell.
thanks, Tom. Anybody else?
Dave Morris, I just want to, again, thank the planning board for all the work. People don't realize how much work they've actually done. And nothing's going to be done tonight. We're still waiting for recommendations from the county. So I don't want anybody to get, upset or excited or whatever. We have to wait for the recommendations to come back from the county. Correct, Don?
As far as taking action on whether to enact or not, if the town wanted, at this point, we're inclined to pursue, we would want to finish the seeker tonight, because,
That would be good.
right.
Okay.
But as far as taking action, I agree.
Just one more question. So you're going ahead with this process because the clock's ticking on the moratorium, is that correct? When's that up?
Soon.
It's the
Like
middle of
roughly.
I think it's the middle of November.
We
I'm
have
gonna
wait
say
for the
November
county.
16, but
Would you consider extending that a minute, or are you guys?
that's up to the town board, but time is very short to do so.
Well, Don and I talked earlier, and Don mentioned that we could go through with this and enact this law, go through the process. And if we have amendments or changes, we can make them later on.
Okay.
And at least we would get this in the works and on the books so that it's there. If we keep putting it off to make changes, for months and months, then, we just run the risk of a project being applied during the time that we're still working on this. So. Anybody else with any questions or comments on this topic? Okay. So Don, if you give us a summary of where we go from here.
Sure. So if the board, having listened to these comments, says, no, we want to maybe have hate to say this, but have the town planning board do some further work on changing the draft in some significant way, then it would go, we would not do any further seeker review tonight. If the board were inclined to move ahead with this and have, as Dave says, we're not ready to decide on whether to enact this or not tonight anyway. Even if everyone wanted to approve it, we cannot. But if that were the inclination of the board to move this ahead, then we need to complete the seeker.
Okay.
So we have that material here tonight to go through. And then we could provide the seeker results to county planning, and they have a meeting later this month where we'll receive their recommendations, and we'll have those at the November meeting. So at that point, you'd be ready to take action.
Would any of the changes, the subtle changes we made affect the seeker?
You know, it's kind of a judgment call. If they're minor kind of ministerial changes, I think you'd be okay. But if you make substantive changes, I think you may have to look at having another public hearing on the new version of the local law, referring that back to county planning and going through the process if it's got substantive changes from what you have right now.
Well, it's possible that the county could suggest changes too, right?
Sure.
So
Sure.
we're still in that phase of editing and making changes here. So we'll wait for county planning to get back to us on it.
Do you want
So in our
seeker?
regular meeting, then we can take up if you want to do seeker or not.
Yeah,
We can-
we'll do the seeker and later on in our regular.
Correct. Not in your public hearing.
Right. Okay. So we'll close this public hearing. Unless the board has any other questions.
I have a question.
Yeah, Peter?
So the comments made have been recorded, and Tom's letter will be available to everyone to see.
Mm-hmm.
They sounded like interesting proposals for changes, to my mind,
Okay, good. Thanks, Peter.
and Corinne's as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
So Don, we can close the public hearing now?
Yes.
Okay. At this time, we'll close the public hearing and we'll open up the next public hearing of the evening. Please take notice that a public hearing will be held in the town of Preble, Town Board on Monday, October 13th, 2025 at 7 p.m. at the Preble Town Hall, 1968 Preble Road, Preble, New York, to consider granting a cable television franchise agreement by and between the town of Preble and Spectrum Northeast LLC, in an indirect subsidiary of Charter Communications. A copy of the agreement is available for public inspection during normal business hours at the town clerk's office. At such public hearing, all persons will be given an opportunity to be heard. Written and oral statements will be taken at this time. Time limitations may be imposed for each oral statement necessary. Dated October 2nd, 2025. So, do we have representative of Charter here?
Hi.
Hi. You can speak and give us a summary of what this is
Yeah,
about.
absolutely. Hi, everyone. I'm Hannah Wallier. I'm the Director of Government Affairs at Charter Communications Spectrum. So this is a pretty typical agreement between Charter and franchises, which is a town and municipality. It basically allows us and gives us like a contract to operate within the town's right of way. It's just for cable, not internet services. But the lines you see running allows us to run our lines through the town to provide service to anyone here. So that's pretty much it. One part of this that is included in the franchise agreement that isn't always included is that we will be providing a complimentary cable account to the town hall. We're only allowed to offer those to municipal buildings, so that's what we've worked in as well.
Okay, thank you. So does anybody have any comments or questions to Hannah or to the board? Yes?
Melanie Flaherty, does
Melanie.
that include the firehouse as well?
We could, yeah. It's an option. I think we just have the town hall in the current agreement.
Right. If you're gonna agree to the firehouse, then we would need to get another copy of the
Yeah,
agreement,
probably
right?
hold another hearing.
Okay. So that's not a problem, doing the firehouse? Okay. Okay. That's
Town
a good.
garage?
that's-
And all of us here?
Just like I
I wish I could do that one.
mean, I serve as the treasurer of the fire commissioner. We spend $4,200 a year on that, which of $100,000 $5,000 budget is 5% on.
So
So-
for the garage, so usually we provide them for municipal buildings, like especially for like emergency services, so fire department, police department, those are the typical ones.
Mhm.
I'm not sure about, the town garage.
If you could check if the highway then
The highway
plows for
department?
those EMS services.
they're emergency.
Okay.
Thank you.
Way to be there, Melanie.
Yes.
Hi, Hannah, Michelle Baker. How have you been operating with, have you had a franchise agreement in this town
Yes,
prior, and so this is just extending it?
yes. So the
And-
previous one has expired and Public Service Commission, which we have to submit all these documents to, they require us to keep it up to date. Some of them are, I can't remember when this previous one expired, but I kept all the terms pretty much the same. The difference is this one's gonna extend it to 15 years, so we don't have to come back in 3 years and start this whole process all over again.
Is it typical for a town not to get a franchise fee?
No, I've had many that do. That's kind of just up to the thing, up to the municipalities. That's something that we could have been negotiated. Typically, like, well, what happens is the franchise fee does get passed along to customers. So it gets passed through and passed to the consumers, and that's why we decided not to for this one. But that is something that can change.
What was the timeframe for the last franchise?
I believe it's 10 years.
My question would be, do we really want to get locked into a 15-year timeframe that we can't get out of with the way technology is skyrocketing by the day? Cable might be obsolete in 3 years. You know, do we want to lock into a 15-year thing with Time Warner or with whatever charter? You know,
It's a good question.
technology's
Yeah.
rolling too quick for anybody to even get their hands around.
Yes, this is just the cable agreements. We still can operate and like offer internet services the same as always. So that would keep up and wouldn't be beholden to this contract. And if cable goes obsolete, then the contract, it's not like the municipality pays us anything for it. So if we lose subscribers and not having people buying our cable services, then that would be impacting the fee, like how much we pay the municipality. Currently, like I said, it's at 0 because municipality didn't want to pass that on to the residents. So that's the only thing that would really change with the lock-in thing, with the fee.
The town is not paying really a fee to have them do this. We're just allowing them
Yeah,
to use the infrastructure of the town to operate.
Yeah.
Don, would you say that's correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And I think they're in the business of not losing customers.
don't like to
Right,
leave that.
so- I think when it comes to their infrastructure, I think that they would probably, when technology comes, that they would improve it to keep their customers.
Yeah, so on that, like I said, this is just cable and internet infrastructure is not regulated the same way. But typically everywhere we run our cable lines, we like to run our internet lines because we know that is a very popular option. It's where it's gone. So, but this will not impact our ability to service with internet or when it does come and people change to the high split, which I'm not on the tech side, so I don't know, but it's faster internet service. That can still be done through, this is just the cable.
Okay, so Hannah, if you could send me the revised contract.
Yeah.
And then we'll have our attorney, Don Armstrong, take a look at it. And then we can get back to you and we can actually make a resolution at our next board meeting, which would be the second Monday of November.
Can absolutely do that. So I just gonna need the address for the other 2 locations, the garage. But I think I can make a case if it is the one doing the plowing, because it's emergency services need to operate. But I definitely have to check into that. I can't see a problem with including the fire department.
Does somebody have that address for her? Okay.
Hannah, can you tell me with the other 15 towns in Portland County, what the average franchise fee you pay to the other towns? How many of those are 0%?
I can't tell you exactly how many. I do have several. I believe the town of Marathon is at 0. I only know that 'cause I just was looking at their agreement today. There's several. It's kind of typical.
Do you cover Onondaga County?
I don't know. I go through the southern tier. I mean, it's, again, an up for negotiation thing. We can also set up another meeting to discuss this further, but we do get capped at 5%. That's the max that that the PSC allows for. Again, that gets passed on to customers. And actually, if you look at your cable bills, if you even get cable,
It's going up.
It, yeah, you can see on the bill, it says franchise fee, and that's what that is.
Okay. So our town clerk, Dan, is getting the two addresses for you. Okay. So if there's no more questions for Hannah or the board, then we can go ahead with our regular meeting.
I have one more.
Okay.
And can you tell me what percentage of the town of Preble is covered by charter?
No, I think it's actually very built out in this area. Portland County in general is pretty built out with our infrastructure. When you get towards, like Allegheny County, it might not be, but
I don't know, do you know, I mean, Kevin could speak more on that, the county is going through a large broadband project, and so looking at that, so there's quite a few underserved areas. I just don't know which one you're in the town of Preble, but I
Tell me, Scott,
is underserved.
Kevin Fitch uses Spectrum.
if there are areas, I mean, that's, again, internet broadband build out, absolutely happy to work with municipality, because I can put you guys in touch with our field operations, we can get things set up, see where there is potential to build out and the cost of that to charter and community.
Thank
That's
you.
totally not out of, that's, thank you. Something we can absolutely look into.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, this time we will close the public hearing for Charter Communications, and we will initiate our regular meeting. Please stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This is the Preble Town Board meeting of October 13th, 2025. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections to the regular meeting in September or the special meeting from 2 weeks ago?
Make a motion to accept the minutes.
On both meetings?
I'll
Both meetings.
second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Jen?
Dog control, no report received. Justice report, Judge Edsel will get that information to Jim or myself this week.
Higher report, Jeff is given a written report, but he's not here for an oral report. Recreation, Dave Smith, anything? Got anything for us tonight?
Well, no, things are going pretty good.
Okay,
Won't be long. Seasonally coming to an end.
okay.
By the end of October, the park more or less closes officially.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Everybody says you're doing a good job over there.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
Draining the water and getting things winterized is a big thing after it closes.
Okay, thanks, Dave. County Legislature, Kevin?
Good evening, everybody. I have some little handouts for the board members.
Okay.
And Don.
Oh, thank you.
Pass them around.
Yep. Thank you.
I have 4 left. You can pass them out. That's all I have. Sorry. For that. And then
Probably get it online.
for that one, and I got one more handout for you. I'll do these.
Okay.
There you go.
I did a copy of your email.
No,
Jim
Yeah.
needs one. All right.
yeah, I can get that too. Okay, now we're ready. So the first thing I wanted to talk about quickly, and I'm not gonna take a lot of time, sales tax. So, the city of Cortland and Cortland County, we did come to an agreement. And it's this little sales tax letter on here. It started in 2024 and we just finished it pretty much in September. The way that it was going to be accomplished was currently the municipalities, other than the city of Portland, share 27.62% of all sales tax revenue. That currently is based on town value. So the proposal the final proposal was to go from 27.62% down to 22.5%. And the county is to take a difference of that. But in looking at everything, knowing that it was a 5.13% decrease, I talked to the legislature to rethink before we went to vote for this, because the 5.13% was kind of steep for this. As you recall, during the negotiations in 2025, is that it was still taking long. Municipalities needed to know what the revenue was going to be. So the legislature extended 2025 to its current 27.62%. Just because there's municipalities that take the county tax or the sales tax and they offset either town tax, they offset county tax. So we retain it and then we divvy it up for that municipality to help reduce the cost. Because of that, we did approve, the legislature did approve going from 27.62% to 24.5% on that. Is there any questions on that part? Good. So, does the county understand that we're taking money from the municipalities? Yes, we do. So what are we going to be doing? So we have a new county administrator who came on board October 6th, Mike Ponicello. He was the deputy county executive for Broome County. Very smart gentleman. And he's just going gangbusters right now. So what are we going to do for the municipalities? Every municipality through Portland County, you don't have a lot of buying power. Your buying power is limited to your municipality. So what the county is going to do is we're going to open up purchasing for your oil, the road oil, salt, all that, so that we as a county can buy it all in a bigger bulk and get a cheaper rate. It will still come here to the municipality as it's needed, but we're going to be working on getting that opened up to all the municipalities so that you can save some money. The other thing that we ended up doing is we approved and we opted in the short-term rental registry for the entire county. And we are going to be hiring a company outside to do all the internet reviews and finding these short-term rentals. And they will be required to register with the county. The other one that we're looking at is that first paper I gave you is your equalization rates. So the equalization rates are tanking pretty good. Right now, here's my little graph of all 16 municipalities. We only have 2 that are current. Everybody else is going into the deep sink. And the reason why I say that is because the city of Portland just had a reevaluation and Virgil just had one. Each one of those their tax rate dropped at least by $5 per thousand because of them doing a full eval. We have a 47% spread in the entire county when it comes to municipalities' equalization rates. As low as the town of Solon is at 53%. So what does the equalization rates mean? It means that that's the percentage below the way that the property's value is right now. And why does that matter? Anyone know why it matters? Well, I'm going to tell you. It matters because the county and the school taxes, we all have an amount of money that we need to deal with when we raise. Because the equalization rates are so off, then the state of New York, they do their little fudge mathematics to get them as close as they can to 100. And what's happening is that the town of Preble could actually be paying a lot more in what the county and the school taxes are because your equalization rates are so off. I mean, they range from $10 per thousand up to $19 per thousand for every municipality. They're like all over the place. Why does the county care about it? Well, the county cares because the county takes everyone's property values, all towns. We put them all together in one big pot. And then when we go for grants or when we get any type of funding, they base it on that. So like Tompkins County, it's one of the richest ones that we have because they have Cornell University, they have Ithaca, college. I mean, they have a lot there. They get about 20 times more state revenue and federal revenue than we would. And it's solely because, not because of the universities, you know, it's solely because they keep their property rates between 88 and 100%. Everyone else down here, it's just so off. Where does that, what's one of the drivers that we have? New home construction. So when you get new home construction, they're evaluated at 100% when everybody else with the same type of home or square footage or whatever is paying way down here. So it's starting to get it like way off skew. So what happens? So the state of New York, in their infinite wisdom, they do see these, they look at them. And when they start getting between 48% and lower, and that's any one of the parts in the county. State funding could be held up, dramatically decreased that we have. Sales tax could be affected for that because when we do sales tax apportionment, we're using town value. We don't do the fudge factor when we calculate that to get you up to 100%. It is what it is. If you have the reevaluation, with the calculations of sales tax apportionment, you could actually get more than what you're currently getting. So I just want to put it, you know, to everyone here. We're going to have a county meeting for all the municipalities to really start discussing this because we are in a kind of a hurt locker when it comes to these values. And I know that everybody gets worried about, you know, you're going to raise my assessment, my taxes are going to go up. I understand that. What we're trying to do is to put everybody at the same line when you're looking at that and moving it over. So the town of Scott, the town of Preble, and these others, because of the fudge factor, you could be paying more in a county or school tax than you really have to. And it's solely done by this. And I can't remember when the last time you did a town evaluation. Does anybody?
You mean of the housing? How much
Yeah.
we paid? Not long ago.
Right,
Bill
but-
Quite a
Barrett
while.
said it's been a while since.
It's been a
we've
long
had-
Yeah,
time.
it's been,
Right,
it's
because
been
I know what
years.
they
Bill
do
said
is
it's been
they
a long
will,
time.
you look at your taxes, they'll tell you what they put it up. That's part of the funny math.
Oh, okay,
That's funny math that they do.
okay.
Is every 2 years or whatever, they'll jack it up
Oh, okay.
because
that's
they
right.
say, well, we think it's worth this much, you know. Instead of getting a real group here to come in and just do a full search and just taking a look at things. I'm not here as an advocate to say do it. I'm just trying to give you options in a way of looking at it because we are bringing some people in when I have my roundtable meeting here in October to really go a little bit more in depth about these equalization rates so that everybody knows.
Kevin, could you tell us how we go about doing a revaluation?
Well, the first thing, you got to put it in your budget for it. Mr. Briggs used to do it. I don't think he does that anymore, does he? Yeah, so he's retired. But I think some other people took.
Yeah, I mean, there's other assessors.
There's
that could-
other assessors
They
to
could
be
be
able to
hired.
do that. We have Bill Barrow. You have Bill Barrow. I know Bill can't do it. So what we're gonna have to do, because the town of Scott and the town of Preble are together when it comes for these revals. So I think it's time for us to, reach out to the town of Homer. They're getting ready to do it.
They've sent out notices.
Yeah. And it's just something that we just really have to do to be, I think you'll be surprised. I mean, I know the city of Portland, they were like $16 per thousand. They did their eval and they went down to $10 per thousand. So
You can't always.
I just think that we need to be, I think we need to get up there.
I see we're at 60 now, and I know Bill Barrett, we've talked about it in the past, and the market's been up here, and he's just kind of wanted to wait till things level out, and it may be time now to,
Well, how long do we wait? You
no,
know?
it may be
Yeah.
time to do it now.
I
That's what I'm
know
saying.
pandemic, we had to wait for pandemic to do it, all that. So I just think it's something that maybe as a county that we could all take a look at and think about, and help each other when it comes to that.
But if you, I mean, what you're saying about your assessed value will go up when you reappraise these things. And your tax rate will go down, but the amount of tax that you're paying is gonna
Still the
stay
same.
either the same or maybe a little higher because of the.
Well, depending on, how many people have been, right there all the time and how many people have been missed, is really the way to go. But the amount of money that's needed to be in there that won't change. It's just how is it distributed?
Basically what happens is they equalize everybody so you're all on the same playing field. Now, you're all paying the value that this property is truly worth.
Yeah.
Instead of people buying new stuff, they're paying up here where everybody else is.
Yeah, what Virgil saw was 2/3 of the properties went down, 1/3 went up. And that just showed where they were.
Are there any funding sources out there to help towns pay for reassessments?
No, I mean, there's always ways to look for it, I guess. When I was town supervisor, in I want to say we were ready to do one in 2018. And I think that was like 30,000 for that. So,
Does that include the grieving process and everything that they set up? Because you're gonna get a lot of that here if it's been 10 or 12 years. Everybody's coming in, man. Be ready.
well, at least 1/3 will. 2/3, they'll come in and be happy.
Yeah, I don't think anybody will end up happy.
But it's just something that, if we can take a look at and just, see that, because Preble is locked in with you. So it's both or nothing, is the problem. So,
Kevin, I have a question going back to sales tax distribution.
yeah,
Okay, so when I first heard about this plan to reduce the share to the towns, And the reason was because the county needs more money, right? I mean, that's getting right down to the bottom of it. Now, on our January tax bill, you know, we have the county line item, we have the town line item, we have the fire line item. Why couldn't the county just simply raise taxes on their line item for the January tax bill instead of going through all of this sales tax redistribution change? And why couldn't it be as simple as that? Of the county raising taxes for themselves?
Well, one, the county is gonna raise taxes for
Right,
itself.
but why couldn't it be that simple as the county just saying, you know, we're gonna increase taxes and we're gonna leave the towns alone and leave the sales tax distribution alone?
Okay. Town of Homer. So the town of Homer, they looked at it and they were looking at getting this hit. They raised their taxes by 44%. But they're one of the lowest tax bases, you know, in for municipalities. So that 44% went up 50 cents per thousand. If the county raised 44%, you would see double-digit increases in the dollars per thousand. I mean,
Well, if the county needs a certain amount of money in excess of what they're getting now, the county's gonna get it one way or the other, right?
well, we try to lessen, and sales tax revenue is generated by everybody, and that comes into Cortland County. So that is why. I mean, Onondaga County, they took sales tax in 1 year. They said, nope, municipalities don't get any of it. It's all ours. We know the impacts that municipalities have. We do. But what you have to remember, as I said in that letter, there's 42 mandates that the county is required to do by law. Right? Mandates. Those are unfunded, partially funded, whatever. Federal government, you know, they're blocking these. Crap rolls downhill and it's rolling down to the counties because we're still obligated by law to do those. Medicaid, childcare. I mean, there are things that we have to deal with that your residents do and take. So that's where I go for it. I mean, every municipality residents take the services that we're required to offer. And those programs that we have, not all of them, they'll pay for the program, but they won't pay for anybody to run that program. That's all county. So every employee that's running those is paid by the county and by the taxpayer. So let me tell you, if we could not raise taxes, hey, that would be a great thing. It's just not there. I mean, just from Medicaid, where was it? Medicaid, warming centers, Code Blue shelter, 911 services, foster care, adoption. These are things that are going up, and then the state of New York can say, we're not doing 50% funding for that. We're doing 25. Where does that come from? So just to give you a little tidbit that I found out since being a legislator is children. So you have children that are violent, right? They have mental health issues and they're violent. So they go to, I don't know, when I was there, it used to be called Georgetown in Dryden, right? They're full. They're full. How much does it cost Cortland County per year per child for those? Just guess.
50,000.
36.
$500,000, between $300,000 to $500,000, because it's the housing costs, it's the teaching, because they still have to go to school. They all have one-on-one people, right? So when you're in New York State, We get some of that money back with federal funding, some of it. But when there's no room in New York State, then we have to ship out. So we had to go and send one to Colorado. We just sent one to Massachusetts. So that's 700,000 in Colorado. Because it's out of state boundaries, out of New York State, we don't get any federal. How many do we have in Cortland County?
The kids that are in there are all from our county.
Yeah. Not there.
George Jr.
They're all over. But
That's
we
what I
have to
thought.
we have to find beds, rooms.
For the ones from Cortland County.
Yep.
So we're not paying $500,000 for each one of the kids in.
No, only the ones that
Ones
we
from
have in
Cortland
Cortland County. So we have 12 that we fund.
That's $6 million.
It's a lot of money that we do. And that's a mandated requirement that we have. So alls I'm saying, and then, you know, I'm glad we're being able to do it, but these are high costs that the county is required to do. So that's, you know, that's kind of like the reality that we live in at the county level, you know, for that. So.
Any other questions for Kevin?
Just a question, so that going from 27 to 24%, what's the dollar impact for, like, what does that translate to dollars? Is that
Honestly, I don't
3%?
have the form with me. I know that you received the contract. And it should be in the contract. It's all laid out. So the way that we looked at the dollar amount, right, is we went back 5 years and we were looking at the growth of sales tax. It went up, it went down, but it never went below 2%. So that's what we based everything on for the growth. Last quarter, and the quarter before that, we saw a 6% sales tax growth for that. So between that and us trying to help out with the cost for the municipalities, adding short-term rentals, which that's sales tax generation as well, we're hoping, you know, that you should not see as big of an impact on this.
Okay, any other questions for Kevin?
I just had a question. You're the head of the legislature. What's that title?
Chairman?
Chairman. You're also our representative.
Yep.
And so I was just wondering, could the legislature look into making it a little more easy for people to attend your meeting and speak? Like here, it's very easy. You just show up. But yours, the subject has to be on the agenda first, and then you can speak. But if the subject never gets on the agenda, and in the committees like the health committee and so on, you cannot speak. You can confer with someone that's on that committee and ask them to ask a question on that you're interested in. But I'm very concerned about the inaccessibility some feel to speak in front of the legislature as a whole.
Well, for the committees are always open to everybody.
I mean, you can
And
attend, but you
before-
can't speak.
Right, and before we put anything on the floor, on the table for discussion, you always have time to speak.
Oh, you can speak even if it's not on the agenda?
Yep.
Great.
That's the time, is especially when you're right into the committee, that you're gonna voice, you know, what your concerns are or whatever, you know, then it's right at committee level, not at the legislature.
But at the
forum.
legislature, you just show up and fill out the blue form and then wait for the public to speak time?
Mhm.
Great, that's good news. I had another quick question. You mentioned shelters. What did you mean by that?
For,
You just mentioned in a list of things and you said that you had to pay for shelters.
let's see.
Huh?
Oh, Code Blue.
That,
Code Blue.
you get $300,000 a year from the state for that through DSS,
But
right?
it costs us 1.3 million
How is that?
because there's not enough money for that.
You mean the,
Yeah,
300,000 is inadequate?
Very inadequate.
And so then you pay Salvation Army directly?
We contract with them. Mhm.
Yeah, and so, their pay scale is great. For somebody just beginning out, it's $25 an hour. Do you stipulate that?
Nope.
Who stipulates it?
Salvation Army.
And you have to go with it? You can't say, well,
Yeah.
these are people that may have a high school education and no training.
$25 an hour is pretty.
It's pretty good, isn't
standard.
it?
It's pretty
That's what
standard.
they make at McDonald's.
Yeah.
They don't make that at
The
McDonald's.
guy, sign order says they do.
Yeah.
I was wondering, I'll just mention these and then maybe I can figure out an appointment with you. I don't know how to, would I call a certain number? Or would you take an email, and requesting a specific time?
That
you're
or get
convenient?
a hold of Savannah. Yeah. The
Oh,
clerk of the legislature.
Oh, okay, very good. So, for 2 years, we've been requesting, updates on the restrooms at the pavilion because we get a lot of people from out of town and things.
Mhm.
And your update to, Jim last, year was that they were gonna redo them. Are they?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, I'll need to speak further with you that, let's see, and can we get a drinking fountain in the, park somewhere for people? When I was growing up, there was always a drinking fountain.
As long as because it then becomes public,
Mm-hmm.
then we have to chlorinate it and all that and get tested. So more than happy to, as long as we have something that is put through the system.
Okay, I checked with, water and, what they're suggesting is like you have in, cemeteries, you have a spigot, and you can fill your water bottle or you can drink from it.
As long as it's chlorinated.
Right, right. We drink from the water at the pavilion. Is that chlorinated?
Mhm.
Okay, so we could maybe tap on that. And, that's it. Thank you so much.
No, not a
I'll be in
problem.
touch.
Mhm.
Kevin, thanks for your time.
Yep, thank you.
Okay. Jen?
Zoning and code enforcement, September, no report received. Planning board, the next meeting is October 22nd at 7 PM. The next ZBA meeting is November 6th at 7 PM.
Thanks, Jen. Historian, Jay, you have anything for us tonight?
Not tonight.
Okay.
Town clerk fees collected in September, $797. Dispersed $770.50 to the town of Preble, $4 to New York State Ag and Markets, and $22.50 to the New York State Department of Health.
Thanks, Jen. Unfinished business, short-term rental litigation update. Don, can you give us an update on that?
Sure, Jim, as all the board has received the decision, so everyone's aware that the court struck down local law 1 for 2025. Her decision focused on a couple things. Number one was the seeker process. She concluded that we did not follow through and complete every step that's required by seeker. So that was one. She spent a lot of time in her decision on that. The second, and what we had relied on in taking the position that a supermajority was not required for the vote to enact this local law, was the Court of Appeals case of matter of Vokers. Every case is decided on its own set of facts. We felt that the facts in that case would apply to ours. The court distinguished that case from our situation and therefore ruled that case did not stand for the proposition and that a supermajority was required. As a result of that decision, of course, our proposed local law, or the local law that was approved, is no longer the law of this town. The one thing I'd point out to the board is for you to consider filing a notice of appeal. The filing of a notice of appeal there's a time period to do so, and it's a short time period. The time period is 30 days, and it's 30 days from when the decision was issued, which was October 3rd. Now, what does the notice of appeal do? The notice of appeal simply protects the town's right, if it chooses, to pursue appellate review of this decision. It is not a commitment by the town to pursue appellate review. It does not obligate the town to pursue appellate review. It simply preserves the right, if it so decides, to do so. Our next board meeting, of course, is 30 days or so hence. So we would not have another meeting within the 30-day time period. So I just bring that to the board's attention. And I would recommend that to the board to file that. It's very simple, but it protects the town's right, if it so chooses thereafter, to pursue review.
So Don, if we file this and then we don't do anything, the notice of review just expires, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
We would just, the town decides yay or nay, and if it doesn't wish to pursue it, there's nothing further to be done.
I make a motion that we pursue the notice of appeal.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Okay. We have 3 ayes, 1 nay.
We'll get that filed.
Okay, thanks, Don. And you said there were 3 items. Was the notice of appeal the last item that you wanted to talk
Yes,
about? Okay.
yes.
Okay. And do any of the board members have any questions on Don's summary? Okay. Okay, so next on unfinished business, we have the seeker for the wind energy, but I think we're going to hold off on that until the end of the meeting. And we're going to get some other things done first. New business. We have a budget meeting with Gina next Monday, October 20th at 7 p.m. here. And that public notice has been issued. And that's going to be a working meeting for us to determine the budget. And the public is invited to come if they want to come, sit through 2 hours of going line by line. You can do that. The next item, yeah.
She'd have the questions raised about what impact that would tax or the decrease in the sales tax revenue would have on us.
We can ask Gina that.
Right.
Yes.
Because we can just
We
calculate off
need
what we
that,
had, this year and take 3% off and see where.
Right.
Yes, we'll be talking about that. So that's next Monday here at 7 o'clock. The next item is
Budget meeting with Gina.
budget meeting with Gina next week. Okay. Next item is Congressman Nick Langworthy Energy Choice Act. This has gone around to many of the towns in New York State. And it's a resolution in support of Congressman Nick Langworthy's energy, and he's a congressman from Western New York. Energy Choice Act, HR 3699, Senate 1945, and in opposition to government mandated natural gas bans. Whereas affordable and reliable energy is essential to the health, safety, and economic prosperity of New York families, businesses, and communities. And whereas natural gas remains a dependable, cost-effective, and clean-burning energy source used by millions of New Yorkers to heat their homes, cook their food, and power their businesses. And whereas in 2019, New York State enacted the Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act, CLCPA, which mandates aggressive emission reductions and serves as the foundation for sweeping energy restrictions, including efforts to phase out natural gas. And whereas building on the CLCPA, Governor Kathy Hochul and the state of New York legislature in 2023 enacted provisions in the state budget banning natural gas and other fossil fuel hookups in most new residential and commercial buildings, effective 2026 for smaller buildings and 2029 for larger buildings, thereby eliminating consumer choice, limiting access to affordable energy. And whereas Governor Hochul has publicly supported these bans and related measures as part of her administration's climate and energy agenda, despite widespread concerns that such mandates will increase costs, strain grid reliability, and restrict energy diversity. And whereas these top-down policies undermine affordability, threaten reliability during peak demand, and strip away the freedom of consumers and businesses to choose the energy sources that best meets their needs. And whereas Congressman Nick Langsworthy of New York and Senator Jim Justice of West Virginia introduced the Energy Choice Act, H.R. 3699, Senate 1945, federal legislation that ensures state and local governments cannot restrict consumer access to natural gas and other affordable energy sources, thereby protecting freedom of choice for New Yorkers and all Americans. And whereas the Energy Choice Act would safeguard households, small businesses, hospitals, farmers, and manufacturers from harmful government overreach and preserve access to an all of the above energy strategy that strengthens reliability and affordability. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the town of Preble strongly supports the Energy Choice Act as introduced by Congressman Langworthy, H.R. 3699, and Senate Justice 1945, and stands firmly opposed to New York State's natural gas bans, the CLCPA-driven restrictions, and other state energy mandates, and eliminate consumer choice. And be it further resolved that the town of Preble urges Congress to pass the Energy Choice Act to defend consumer choice, protect energy affordability, and preserve reliable access to natural gas for New Yorkers. And be it further resolved that copies of this resolution be sent to Congressman Nick Langsworthy, Senator Jim Justice, the New York congressional delegation, Senator Chuck Schumer, Kristen Gillibrand, Governor Kathy Hochul, and leadership of the New York State legislature. So I make a motion that we, what would be the right word for this, Don?
Well, that you author and sign this correspondence and forward it to the
Addresses.
noted dignitaries there that,
Okay.
on behalf of the town of Preble.
So we need,
I'll second
I make a motion, you second it. We have all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, all in favor. So Jen and I will work on this as far as getting this signed and sent to all of those addresses. All right, haven't done that much reading in a long time. Out loud. Let's see. Okay, so let's pay the bills right now. We need to make a motion to pay the general fund vouchers.
Make a motion to pay general fund vouchers, abstracts number 10, numbers 194 to 216, totaling $12,736.09.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Need a motion to pay the highway fund vouchers.
I'll make a motion to pay the highway fund vouchers, abstract number 10, numbers 85 to 99, totaling $80,146.76.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. All right, so we'll open up the meeting for comments and questions. And then after that, we will go and finish the secret that we started last month. What was it, 2 weeks ago?
Yes, it was.
2 weeks ago.
Yep.
Yeah. And we will finish that. So right now, we open to questions and comments. Pam?
I'm Pam Poland. I live on Stager Road. I'm just so delighted to see the 45-mile-an-hour zone a limit put up and for the protection of our children of walking in the mist in the morning and walkers from other places because it's so beautiful, the farmland, and it's all flat and everything. And people riding bicycles from our area and also around the surroundings. And enjoying the healthy outdoors only available here in Preble. Recently, I've noticed huge Mack trucks. They say Mack on the front, so I know they're Mack trucks coming down and using Steger Road as sort of they envision as a shortcut. But I've timed it, and actually, it's 3 minutes faster to go on 281. And if these trucks or other vehicles, I'm not sure what they were for, but they may be local, they may not, but if they're not actually using Steger Road to get to farmland or to the milk barns, I was wondering if there's some sort of sign we could put up, like trucks over a certain weight, and could be limited to Steger Road, and also some way of encouraging them to use 281 if they don't really need to go that way, because there are more people trying to use Steger Road, and it's not fast, not very good. For 45 miles an hour, it's still deadly fast. And so let's see, I clocked it. I'm asking the town of Preble board to consider such a sign. I don't know anything about wording, but I'm sure Jeff would probably know something that people could still use the road, but not these huge trucks that really don't need to use the road. Okay. I was wondering if the board would consider maybe just talking further with the chairman of the legislature. They just hired a new high-powered grant writer, and I was just wondering how that might help Preble in, for instance. Also, I noticed Lee Webb, who's our senator, New York State senator for this area. She I don't know where she gets her funds, but she has huge funds that she's awarding to various things. And it mostly goes to Ithaca. So I was wondering how we could get a piece of the pie or something. And also Anna Keller, she has funds available. So you apply like in April, and you find out afterwards, if it was awarded or not. I wanted to thank the board and Jim Doring, the new subject, happy subject, for encouraging folks to contribute to their community, Preble, by volunteering their time, talents, and funds. Dave Morse of the board took the lead this spring, and I'm sure he's done other things. I have no idea what he's done, and maybe all of you out here have done things, but he took over weeding the town hall garden out here. That was begun many years ago, and the recent plantings were 2008 for the anniversary of the founding of Preble and also the county. And so they've been going strong and stuff, but they really needed him to come and weed them. And then another Preble resident donated the mulch for that. So with mulch, you don't have to weed as much, especially if you catch everything early. And to top that off, Little York Plantation, under the guidance over here, also is going to weed the garden really, really well this fall, probably this month. I think it's this month. So that next spring, Dave and his newfound friends on the board don't have to weed as much. And then maybe we could get a lot of mulch from Paul Bunyan up the road as a donation, and then we'd be set for quite a while. You think it sounds good?
Yeah.
You have a lot of friends, right? Okay. So thanks, Dave, for all that. And I hope others will join Dave next spring as needed. It might only need to spread mulch. Last year, you probably noticed that Little York Plantation also donated the flowers and vines for the two urns out here. And it was really nice and very pretty, and there was little signs up that they donated it. And this year, there was a clandestine gardener who came and continued this by planting flowers and vines. And they're still going strong, even though we're in October and maybe into November. So if you know who it is, please thank that person. And maybe if they feel like they could tell us who they are, we could thank them more fully. As you know, Jim sends out handwritten thank you notes, so personal and so appreciated by people who donate their time, energy, and funds. Okay, Dave Morse is again at the fore. What did he do? He painted the Preble park sign with a stain instead of paint. It's a sort of a burgundy. I don't know if you noticed it. And the hard part, of course, with any painting project is to scrape all that. And so he scraped it all. And I know it's dangerous to be up there because I fell once. And so that's all set. And he further offered to restain it next spring or summer so that it doesn't need to be stained again for quite a long time. So I think that will be very helpful. And another Preble resident actually donated the stain, very high quality stain from Meldrum's, I understand. And the park, as you know,
Pam,
the
we have
trees-
kind of a limit for.
Oh, do you have a
comments.
limit?
Yeah. We
Oh,
kind
I'm
of-
sorry.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
If
Well,
you
I
could
was
wrap
just-
this up quickly.
I
that
will
would be
wrap
great.
it up real quickly. You know that some of the trees in the park now, that originated with Laura Doring, Jim's wife, and they're going great. And so I think she donated them too as a well arrangement.
No.
Who planted them? The town?
Well, the town volunteers planted them,
The volunteers.
but we had
Yeah,
a grant
that's right.
to buy those trees.
And then Jeff Griswold donated his time, not as what he does to get paid for, but he dug up the garden below the sign. And it was sod by that time. It was grassy sod, and it was a lot of work. Anyway, we thank all these people, and I hope they've encouraged all of us to also make contributions. I forgot Babe. She planted silk flowers because my lilies weren't doing so good. And so those bright flowers you see there, those are all the work of Babe.
Thank you, Pam. Thank you. Anybody else with a comment or a question for the board?
Yeah, I got a question.
Mm-hmm.
So who's the editor for the newsletter?
I am.
Okay. Will the newsletter include what's going on with the short-term rentals and what was passed on by the judge?
We don't really get into things like that in the newsletter. It's more of a lighter content. I would say Don Armstrong gave a really good summary right here. Anybody can access YouTube and listen to this summary that Don gave.
Well, I'm trying to be transparent with our voters. I think it's kind of important that they do know what's going on.
Mm-hmm. We would consider it.
Thank you.
Mhm. Anybody else?
Yeah, just one more comment on the sales tax,
Mhm.
distribution. I mean, that's something that's been talked about, been going on for a long time, right? The discussions in the county. So I just find it pretty incredible that the board and particularly the supervisor can't tell us off the top of your head exactly what the dollar impact is.
You're asking me to tell you exactly off the top of my head. No, I can't.
A
I'm
rough
sorry.
estimate then. I
I'm
mean,
sorry, I can't tell you.
a 3%
No.
of the sales tax
You're gonna have to call the county.
reduction.
You're gonna have to call the county on that.
Well,
I can't tell you.
I find that very incredible that, because that's a hole you have to fill. If you're not
Right.
already talking about,
We are
what are we
talking
gonna,
about it.
so you would have to have an idea of what that represents.
We
Is
are,
it 1,000? Is it 10? Give us an order of magnitude.
okay, if you
Again,
come,
be transparent.
if you come
with
to the meeting next week here, we are going through our budget and our bookkeeper can give you those numbers.
Okay.
I
Well,
can't
I
tell
would
you,
expect the board to know the budget, to know the numbers, to give us a rough estimate of what that is.
you're telling me that
Yeah, I
You're
am
asking
telling
me,
you that,
you're asking me
exactly,
to
that's
give you
my
off the top of
comment.
my head, and I can't give you
So,
exact
and
numbers.
has
off
the
top of my
board
head.
talked about what are you gonna do to fill that gap? Especially considering how for several years you were pushing to reduce that sales tax revenue by banning the short-term rental.
Thank you for your comment.
What, what has the board come up with for ideas to backfill that gap? Have you talked about ideas? Can you share that with us?
You can come to next week's
All right,
board,
so wait,
budget meeting.
wait to the future. Great,
Next week.
thank you.
Next week is coming. Yes, Michelle.
But I'm gonna, add to what he said, you can't just give us a little list of things you've been thinking about, we have to come to a meeting, you can't just tell us that off the top of your head. We're not asking dollar amounts, but what are you thinking about? What is the board discussed?
Well, the board hasn't discussed it yet. Gina and I have discussed it.
And you can't share that with, I mean, you can't
The
share
bookkeeper,
with,
but we
people in
will
this
talk
room.
about it in a week from today.
but you
So-
can't just like bullet point it quick with little quick ideas.
No, I don't want to comment on it right now. You can come next week and you can listen. Yes.
How much money has Preble paid the lawyer to fight the short-term rentals?
I don't have that figure at the top of my head. I'm sorry.
Of course not.
Okay, anybody else?
Yeah, Jim, you came to my house.
Yes.
And we talked about the short-term rentals.
Mhm.
And you said, when the judge's decision happens, this was over. So what changed?
Nothing has
Did you-
changed. Nothing
But
has changed,
He
Chris.
told me to my face, when the judge makes her decision, this is over. And tonight, apparently, maybe it's not over. Some of the people in this room and the people in the short-term rentals, they spent $70,000 fighting this town, and we won. And when you read the judge's decision, she crucified you and the things that you guys did, totally disregarding municipal law. So when you told me this was gonna be over, why isn't it over?
This decision, again, is tonight, is just a stopgap, Chris. It's by 3 board members. It's not the town supervisor himself.
Well,
And
the
it's
town
not,
supervisor
can I,
could have voted no.
may I finish?
Yeah, go ahead, Tom. What's your opinion?
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's simply, it's a protective move. That's all it is. It doesn't bespeak any intent to move forward.
Well-
It's just, it's a short time, and I don't know that the board has had a chance to talk about that topic. And again, it's not Jim's decision himself, just like it wasn't Jim's decision to move forward to begin with. The board moves
Right,
it a
the
whole.
board did move forward, and Jim, you told me that the short-term rental problem was all personal from Jim Harris. Did you or did you not agree to that?
I don't
And tell
recall
me that.
saying that.
So you're calling me a liar?
Oh,
I'm
geez,
telling you
Jeepers
what-
creepers. This is for comments, public comments, not for argument, please.
Any
Well,
other
Jim,
comments?
you're just a fake and a fraud, and you're not transparent at all.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, so at this time, we will go ahead and finish the secret.
Yeah. I didn't do too well because I had somebody help.
Anybody that wants to stay for the secret can stay. If not, you can leave.
Oh, okay, who wants us to go? Oh, you can? Oh, okay.
No. Just check this here. See if there's any environmental impacts, but maybe not overall.
Okay, so now we finished part 1.
Yes, we did.
So now we're working on
So,
part 2.
right, and what I've handed out is the part 2, okay? And also, especially in light of the decision that we got, what I've also included are typed up proposed conclusions with respect to each of these items that we have to go through. Okay, so you've each got this as part of your packet. And what this does, it follows down because it requires us to conclude yay or nay for each of these factors. So you'll see, you've got that, Jim?
I
Mike,
don't
you've
have
got?
that, Don.
It's in with the clip. Paper clipped into that
Here.
Oh,
patch right there.
It's on the back.
So it's.
You
it's
didn't
paper-
sign in, make sure you're signed in. I don't think that lady did there.
So attached to part 2 is the proposed findings, but they're subject to your conclusions, okay? So there's that in writing. Then also is part 3, where you make a determination as to yay or nay on the positive or negative declaration. And then the last page, it's just for reference, but this is the recommendation that the planning department has submitted to the planning board for their review and ultimate recommendation to us. So that's just for your information. But that gives you a little bit of an advance notice of what you may see in terms of conditions and to their potential approval. You know, so that's just for your information purposes. But they apparently, the staff at county planning feels that there should be some clarification as to allowing access. It's in the local law. That's one, you know, to further define the scientists. This is where there's a provision in the local law that Peter actually put in there that would allow investigation, like affecting birds and that type of thing. So that's what the 1 and 2 relate to. The town clarify what is meant by commencing an action. That's easy. Commencing an action means commencing a civil lawsuit. So that's something that can easily be addressed. And then they say the town ought to consider adding sections pertaining to purpose, authority, and definitions. It says that the town consider adding, so it doesn't say must add. So in any event, this is not what we're going to receive. We're going to get a series of recommendations from the county planning board. That's what we'll have by the meeting in November. Probably we'll have 1 or more of those. Okay. So with that in mind, so the part 2 seeker review of this proposed local law. Okay. And if you look at the question 1, impact on land, proposed action may involve construction on or physical alteration of the land surface of the proposed site. We've got here in our proposed conclusion here, sub A, impact on land. The town board considered the proposed local law 3 regarding its impact on land and determined that the proposed local law would have no significant adverse environmental impact on land. Proposed local law 3 would not have a significant adverse impact on land because the proposed regulations, restrictions, and standards are designed to be more protective for the town's land. Jim, I'm on this
Where are
page.
you?
I'm on this
On this
page. Yeah, so
Right here.
take
Right
your
here?
take your paper
Right
clip.
here?
Yeah. It's sub A.
Yeah.
So for example, the proposed local law allows only 1 wind energy conversion system per lot, 3 for agricultural use, minimizing the amount of excavation to be performed. So again, that's an example where, in fact, it would appear that there's not a significant environmental impact on the land, but actually enhances the protection of the land. So with that in mind, I would think our conclusion on 1 is no. And basically these 3 pages here, actually it's more than that, are proposed findings for each one of these, okay? So 2 is impact on geological features. That the proposed local law 3 would have no significant adverse environmental impact on geological features. The purpose of the proposed local law 3 is to allow the town to regulate the installation of wind energy systems because the town is regulating the systems The goal is to avoid adverse impacts resulting from the installation of wind energy facilities. Since proposed local law 3 does not require any action by any entity, such as construction of a wind energy facility. In other words, this is a change in the law. This does not initiate or cause any construction to occur. The implementation of proposed local law 3 would not result in an impact to any geological feature. So
No.
if you agree with that, that would be a no. 3 is impacts on surface water, and it's C on this form. Regarding its impact on surface water, and this board would have determined that the proposed local law 3 would have no significant adverse environmental impact on surface water. The proposed local law 3 provides additional protection for surface water in the town. For example, the proposed local law 3 does not allow for the installation of wind energy systems in R1L districts of the town. This is in part meant to reduce the potential impacts of the installation of wind energy systems near lakes. Do you agree that that is correct?
No.
And it's a no.
I don't quite understand.
So in part 2 of your seeker, Jim,
Yeah.
we're at number 3, impacts on surface water. And it prompts you to determine whether the proposed action would have one or more, affect one or more wetlands or other surface waters. And what
The
we're,
proposed action being our law
that's correct.
to regulate the windmills. It's
That's-
not
that's
that
correct.
the windmills would, the installation of the windmills would affect the surface. It's not that. It's
The law.
because of.
That's
right?
correct.
Okay.
If there is a proposed installation, there'll be a review of that proposal at that time.
Oh, okay.
But this local law prohibits wind energy systems in R1L and R1. So as to having an impact on surface water, I think what we're saying is that it actually enhances
If they follow
protects
the law, it
and
protects
protects
it.
surface
I see.
water.
Mhm.
So then the answer in number 3, based upon that language I just read, would be no. The same analysis is for each one of these. So number 4, impact on groundwater. The question is, the proposed action may result in new or additional use of groundwater or may have the potential to introduce contaminants to groundwater or an aquifer. So what we have is the town board is considering the proposed local law 3 regarding its impact on groundwater and determines that the proposed local law would have no significant adverse environmental impact on groundwater. The town board does not believe that the installation of a small energy system would impact the use of water at a particular location. Further, proposed local law 3 does not allow for the installation of wind energy systems in residential areas, therefore eliminating the concern that new residential uses will arise in areas without water and sewer services. So again, based on that, the conclusion would be there is no significant environmental impact from our local law on groundwater. Everyone's in agreement on that. Impact on flooding. The proposed action may result in development on land subject to flooding. That's E. The board has considered the proposed local law regarding its impact on flooding and determined that this local law would have no significant adverse environmental impact on flooding. By the way, Jen, I forgot to mention, because it was in that decision, we ought to keep track of when we started this and when we stopped this. So if you can note that in the minutes, that it was, I don't know, probably 5-7 minutes ago that we started.
Yeah, anyway.
8:15, let's say.
Okay, so the proposed local law 3 does not result in the installation of any wind energy systems, does not result in the installation of any wind energy systems in the town. Each proposed wind energy conversion system will be required to undergo seeker review. Therefore, the proposed local law 3 is intended to provide the town with the ability to regulate the installation of wind energy systems, including possible impact on flooding. And so being suggested that the answer to that is no, based on this local law. Six, impact on air. The proposed action may include a state-regulated air emission source. The town board has considered local law 3 with regard to its impact on air and determined that local law 3 would have no significant adverse environmental impact on air. The proposed local law 3 is intended to encourage the use of small wind energy systems and therefore reduce the reliance on energy sources that result in harmful emissions. The proposed local law will not result in any immediate action, therefore will not itself produce any emissions. Agreed with that? So that's a no.
You don't get bored over there.
Okay, you got
Following
it?
along,
Okay.
thank you.
Impact on plants and animals. The proposed action may result in the loss of flora or fauna. Town board has considered this proposed local law as to its impact on plants and animals and determined that it would have no significant adverse environmental impact on plants and animals. At present, there are no regulations of wind energy facilities. One of the goals of the proposed local law 3 is to reduce any harmful impact on bird and bat species that may be impacted by wind energy systems. The local law is intended to increase the protection of plant and animal species in the town. Agreed?
Yep.
Impact on agricultural resources. The proposed action may impact agricultural resources. The board has considered the proposed local law 3 regarding its impact on agricultural resources and determined that the proposed local law 3 would have no significant adverse environmental impact on agricultural resources. This proposed law prevents the installation of large wind energy systems of less than 25 megawatts that are designed to produce energy to sell it back to electric utility companies. This prohibition is designed in part to protect the agricultural resources of the town by preventing indirectly the increase in development or pressure to develop farmland. Now, you could come up with other rationale one way or another on that, I suppose. But the major wind energy systems, 25 megawatts and up, again, that's out of our control. The state could oversee that and allow for wind energy systems in land that might be agricultural in nature. We can't affect that.
But what if the Albany changes or doesn't do that and it allows, it goes back to the municipalities and we don't have anything in there saying we don't want any above 25 megawatts in our town.
You could either put that in there now, or I don't think that's going to happen overnight. So the town would have some lead time to enact a new law. So I think
we'd have to enact a new law for that.
Yeah, it's just like, we mentioned here, this may not be perfect, this proposed local law, but one thought might be because our moratorium is going to expire, you might get it in place and then work on improving
Change it, yeah. Otherwise, we might miss the time frame.
You can always.
We could extend our moratorium though, but then we're kicking the can down the road.
Right, and you're about 35 days away from that time period to expire. It would be very, very tight. I don't know if you could do it.
Yeah.
If you can't, then you're really screwed, right? I mean.
But I think that's what a lot of the people that I talk to me and even you heard here, Corinne, that's what they're looking for is to, if the other companies are like they contacted Rick, wanted to know how the board feels about that Palmer coming, in here that are, and they haven't done it yet. But if we don't say that, if we're just relying on up to the state, then they can go to the state and bypass us. But we just showing them that with the way it's written now, that they could come in with their more than 25 megawatt.
We've always.
I think, I think the reality may be that whether we put something in there or not, or whether you put in a bunch of regulations, the state can, I don't think the state is really impacted by that. I think they have control over that. The ability to approve the 25 megawatt systems and up.
And if time comes, we need to amend it or whatever, or change, addition, then we can do it.
And so, yeah, I mean, if you want to put it in there that it be prohibited, then if the board is so inclined, that that there's a policy statement by the town board that basically says, we want that prohibition to apply to 25 megawatts and up, you can put that in there.
Later.
Yeah, that's what I'd like to do.
Okay, so
I
the
would,
question
but-
would be whether we'd have to have another public hearing if we made that change
Oh,
now.
Oh, I see.
So right now, we can't.
Yeah, we're against the flag.
Yeah, but there's nothing we can do for the larger size wind energy systems anyways. There's nothing. Currently, the state has control of that. So there's nothing we can do, no law we can write
What if
that's
they
gonna change that.
What if the state changes it at the first of the year? Because they're getting pressure from the federal government to.
Well, they're just not getting any more money. So, but, you know, we're involved in Palmer's project right now. So we've got,
In Portland County?
in Tisco.
In Otisco.
Yeah. So we're currently in at their meetings that they had with Tully and town of Otisco, and you know, a lot of people complaining, but it's going forward because the state says it's going forward.
And there are
So-
extensive regulations at the state level
Yeah,
that
and they've
regulate
yeah,
these projects.
They've come and they've done wildlife studies. They've done sound studies. They've done all those things. already.
Flickering.
Yeah.
All that.
Yeah.
Stability, I know that's an issue.
I don't know if they've done it.
200
I'm sure they've done
tons,
some.
200 tons on 5 acres.
I'm sure they've done some core samples that, you know, they've got to know what the ground is underneath you. So, but yeah. So I'm just saying that we can try writing that in there, but like Don, that may delay the whole thing.
I think it's something
Yeah.
that we can add, but we got to get something in place now, and then we can tweak it, right?
Yeah. I mean, we're not going to have enough time. We'd run the risk.
Of losing it all. I don't think you want
In
to.
other words, if your moratorium expires, I think it's around November 16. So you have no regulation. So then you're going to be in a push to get something in place, but it wouldn't be in place, to do another public hearing, refer it to county planning, and then, get a vote. I mean, it takes a couple months.
We have to wait for county planning right now, right? Correct?
We do, but you'll be ready. We'll have
November.
that before
We'll
your
have
November
that.
meeting.
Mhm.
That's why we had the special board meeting a couple weeks ago, so you could refer it to county planning in time to get it on their October meeting agenda. You have to get it to them. They have a schedule, and that's fine because it allows their staff to study it before the planning board meeting. So the staff can study a proposed local law or whatever it might be, and they have some time to, read it, digest it, and then make a recommendation to the planning board. So that's
if the
why
county, what if they don't recommend, or what if they have other stipulations in there?
Okay, so just like before, and what happened before is pretty unique. When's the last time we've seen a 3-2 vote on a board?
Right.
Chances are, I mean, I don't know, I don't have the crystal ball, obviously. But is it going to be contentious among the board? Well, if it's not contentious above the board, then you have a 4-1 or 5-0 vote. So that's your super majority.
On this local law.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like with our involvement in that, I'm probably going to abstain from this vote. So,
And these conditions, if they're like this, I mean, those are minor. Those are
Yeah.
clarifications, so that's,
Yeah.
those aren't problematic anyway.
Mhm.
So I understand your point. I would encourage you to talk to Peter McClure. I talked to him earlier today, and I've talked to him before, but he has spent a lot of time on looking at this issue. And it's interesting what his take is. I don't want to speak for him, but he's studied it and he's got some interesting take on things. So for what
Mhm.
that's worth.
Mhm.
Because our feeling on this whole thing, we've had people offer solar, you know, solar panels on our land as well. And that impact on agriculture is much higher than a windmill. Windmill is going to be a 1 acre footprint instead of to generate the same amount of power as a 20 acre footprint of solar. And so, you know, we're not going to do solar, but you know,
Yeah, you can't give up that amount of acres. I mean,
can't give up that
20
amount.
to 1. I mean, that's pretty simple.
So that all figured into our decision on whether we're going to do this or not. So
That's a huge impact on wildlife, and they'd be bringing in helicopters to put them in, and they're blowing them up now. They're taking the smaller ones down, or where is it, out in Madison?
Yeah, that was on
They're
the
blowing
TV
them up
and,
and
yep.
telling
That's
the
what they-
people around there, well, you know, your ground's going to shake.
And that was a those
see
were
the video on
prototypes
that?
too.
Prototype. Yeah, they had them on the
It's pretty
phones,
interesting.
blowing them up.
Imploded them.
And they eyesore from the, and of course, people want to, you know, make money from it, and they don't care about what it looks like.
Well, I'd rather see
But
one.
this is a-
Personally, I'd rather see one windmill than 20 acres of. I mean, you go down Cortland now, that's all you see. You go down 81, solar panel after solar panel after solar panel.
You don't even have to drive down a corner to see a windmill. If you have a windmill, you can see that for miles. How would you like to have one of those right over your head?
You go out to the Midwest, there are windmills everywhere. You've been out to Iowa, right?
Minnesota put a huge
Yeah.
wind farm up in western New York, and
That's a bunch of, if they ever figure out the full footprint of those, and the carbon footprint of building one, and
From
all
birth,
the oil,
birth to death.
hundreds of gallons
Yeah.
of oil in the base.
Yeah.
They want to put one right over Crooked Lake that's right next to a stream that can leak down in,
Yeah.
and then they
Yeah.
take 5 to 6 acres to build the concrete. They make their own concrete and the pads. Bring in helicopters to bring them in. It's a shame.
Well, we have to answer our, just editorialize too, we have to answer our energy needs somehow, especially if Micron gets a spade in the ground.
Yeah, I mean,
So, okay, so impact on agricultural resources, are we in agreement that the passage of this local law will not have a detrimental impact from an environmental standpoint on agricultural resources?
No.
Okay, so we're on to 9, and this is aesthetic. Okay, again, it's on the proposed local law. The land use of the proposed action are obviously different from or are in sharp contrast to current land use patterns between the proposed project and a scenic or aesthetic resource. So again, right now, we have no regulation prohibiting or limiting these sorts of wind energy systems. So in that sense, the town board has considered the proposed local law 3 regarding its impact on aesthetic resources and determined that the proposed local law 3 would have no significant adverse environmental impact on those aesthetic resources. Proposed local law 3 is intended to reduce the negative impact on the aesthetic resources by prohibiting the installation of wind energy systems in residential districts of the town, especially in the lake districts. The proposed local law 3 is actively preventing the adverse impacts the installation of a wind energy facility could have on the aesthetic resources of the town. It includes the proposed local law includes height restrictions that will further prevent the depletion of the town's aesthetic resources. So it does provide regulations where there are none that includes limitations on and requirements for how a system is installed. And again, it does include prohibitions of the mid-type systems throughout the town.
No.
Agree that it's no
Mhm.
with that basis? Impact on historic and archaeological resources. The town board has considered its impact on historical and archaeological resources. It's historic, not historical. And determined that the proposed local law 3 would have no significant adverse environmental impact on historic and archaeological resources. The proposed local law 3 results in no action itself. Each proposed wind energy system will have to undergo its own seeker process. Since the historic and archaeological impact of the installation of a wind energy system is site-specific, the town board determines that the implementation of the proposed local law will not have an adverse impact on historic or archaeological resources. And admittedly, right, our historic or archaeological resources are relatively limited in this town in terms of what is notable. So it's a no at number 10.
Number 10 is no.
11, impact on open space and recreation.
I just have a question on that.
Mhm.
So in that same sentence, you say that the installation wind energy system is site specific, right?
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, you determine that it will have no adverse impact. Well, if it's site specific, then it could have an impact on if it's a site that has historical or archaeological significance, right?
Right, but the enactment of this law doesn't have a negative impact, doesn't have a significant environmental impact that would be subject to the seeker process on that particular site if there's a plan submitted.
Because our local law
By
is
allowing.
not building anything, right?
Correct.
But you're allowing someone to build something.
You're now putting safeguards in place, requirements in place where there are none at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Someone right now, if they applied for it, there's no limitation.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
If they applied for a building permit.
Mm-hmm.
This, obviously, if this is enacted, then for them to put up a small wind energy conversion system, they've got to go through the process.
Right.
All righty. Okay, impact on open spaces and recreation. Town board has considered the local law 3 impact on open space and recreation, determined that this local law does not have a significant adverse impact on open space and recreation. It does prevent the installation of wind energy systems on vacant land. So that's one piece, because it requires, remember, the systems that are approved and are subject to regulation are those that either are in connection with a residence or a farm operation. So someone can't just put up wind energy system on vacant land. And that, as a result of that, would encourage the preservation of open spaces. It does have some assistance, I think, in keeping the open spaces as far as agricultural farmland, in that it prohibits the mid-size wind energy conversion systems. So I would suggest that it does not have a significant environmental impact. So the question at number 11, the proposed action may result in a loss of recreational opportunities or reduction of an open space resource as designated in your any adopted municipal open space plan. We don't have a noted or titled open space plan. We've got a comprehensive plan. And the nature of this town, I think there's, to some extent, has always been to preserve its rural character, and notably farmland. So this doesn't totally prevent, but It regulates the small and prohibits the mid-size. The board's determination?
Say no.
No,
Impact on critical environmental areas. Bottom line is there is no critical environmental area as defined under the Department of Environmental Conservation. So there's no significant adverse impact on critical environmental areas because there are none in the town of Preble. So I would think that's no, it couldn't be anything other than that. Impact on transportation. The proposed action may result in a change to existing transportation systems. So the town board has considered proposed local law 3 regarding its impact on transportation to determine that the proposed local law 3 would have no significant adverse impact on transportation. Proposed local law 3 is designed to eliminate the increased transportation concerns that can result from the installation of large wind energy systems of under 25 megawatts. By allowing small systems in the town, the proposed local law encourages only systems that will be used for on-site consumption. The proposed local law further requires there be existing structures on the lot, eliminating the need for the installation of new roads to access wind energy systems. So I think I don't know that it has an impact on any existing transportation systems. There would be some, obviously, in construction trucks, but that would be subject to a specific application made at some future date. And again, if it's on a major system, we have little to say about it.
So no.
Impact on energy. The town board has considered proposed local law 3 regarding its impact on energy, determined that this proposed local law would have no significant environmental impact on energy. This law is designed to encourage the installation of small wind energy systems to decrease the reliance on existing forms of energy.
No.
So does the proposed action cause an increase in the use of any form of energy? We're all in agreement that's no.
Yeah.
Okay. Impact on noise, odor, and light. The proposed action may result in an increase in noise, odors, or outdoor lighting. The town board considered the proposed local law 3 regarding its impact on noise, odor, and light and determined that this proposed local law would have no significant adverse environmental impact on noise, odor, or light. This law takes special precautions to reduce any impact of noise from the installation of a small wind energy system, because it does call for testing of noise as one of the requirements. The proposed local law 3 also restricts the amount of additional lighting that can be installed in conjunction with a wind energy system. And my recollection is it says you can't put any lighting on it unless it's required by the FAA. Answer is no?
No.
Okay. Impact on human health. The proposed action may have an impact on human health from exposure to new or existing sources of contamination. So the town board has considered this local law regarding its impact on human health, determined the proposed local law would have no significant adverse environmental impact on human health. Town board discussed that the proposed local law may allow for future action, which we're acknowledging, right? The installation of small wind energy systems, but any such future action will be subject to its own seeker review and compliance with the requirements of this proposed local law. Questions in the EAF Part 2 are generally site-specific regarding the impact on human health, and the town board concludes the proposed action would have no impact on human health. And again, the focus is on the impact of this law, not of some future project.
No.
No.
Consistency with community plans. The proposed action is not consistent with adopted land use plans. Town board has considered proposed local law 3 regarding its consistency with community plans, determined that the proposed local law would be consistent with community plans. the town board did not identify any area of the proposed local law 3 that would deviate from the comprehensive plan of the town of Preble. Again, it prohibits anything within the R1L or R1. It allows in commercial, industrial, and ag. I do not think this is in violation or counter to our comprehensive plan.
It's a no.
Consistency with community character, the proposed project is inconsistent with the existing community character. So the town board has considered the proposed local law 3 regarding its consistency with community character and determined that the proposed local law 3 would be consistent with community character. It's designed to prevent installation of wind energy systems that would be inconsistent with community character, i.e. R1 and R1L zoning districts, by allowing only those wind energy systems designed for on-site consumption of energy in non-residential district. The board does not find that there will be any impact on the community in a negative way. As stated above, the town intends the proposed local law to assist in the protection of the agricultural nature of the town, as well as preserving the aesthetic resources of the town. Okay, and then you'll see here kind of the closing part of this summary that in reaching the above conclusions, the town considered reasonably related long-term, short-term, direct, indirect, and cumulative impacts of the proposed action. Also, in reaching these conclusions, the town board considered the significance of a likely consequence in connection with its setting, its probability of occurrence, its duration, its irreversibility, its geographic scope, its magnitude, and the number of people affected. And so we have a proposed resolution here pursuant to seeker's regulations for determining the significance of an action. This proposed action, a type 1 action under seeker regulations, will not have a significant adverse environmental impact, and therefore an environmental statement, as the term is defined in seeker's regulations, is not required for the proposed action. And then pursuant to seeker regulations, the town board hereby issues a negative declaration with respect to the proposed action. So someone would need to make a motion, I would say, to adopt these findings and to issue, for the town board to issue a negative declaration.
I make the motion to adopt the findings on this seeker part 2 and declare a negative declaration.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So with that, Jim, I'm going to ask you to sign that. We will forward part 2 and that part 3 on to county planning. That'll go out tomorrow. Jen, I'll email marked up and 2 and part 3.
Okay,
It'll get to you from Noah in a day or two.
sure, thank you, I'll look for that.
Yeah. And really then you've completed the seeker. Thank you. So, you know, and we'll get the recommendations, we'll get them out to everybody from county planning, and so you'll be prepared. And again, Jim, you might want to talk to Peter. I think he's got some insight. on
Yeah,
it,
I've
and-
talked with him somewhat on it, yeah.
So I guess that's it.
Okay, we need a motion to adjourn.
Got the time, Joan?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Carried.